Welcome back to Joe Daddy's Garage. It is Monday, June 30th, 2025. It's the end of June. It's hot. Stuff is happening. I'm excited. I gave you a different background today. As you can tell, the Fangled Fastback is not sitting behind me right now. I have the Crunchy Cobra Jet, also known as Slither, sitting behind me. So today I did some shuffling. I was trying to figure out when I wanted to move everything, and today just happened to be a good day for it. I've been making progress on putting parts on the car, the drip rail, and the seals, and all that sort of thing on, around the door openings. And I knew at some point I'd be putting the fenders on, and of course the front valance and all that stuff. So I was thinking, okay, if I put all that stuff on now, for one, it makes the car heavier, and I also have to back it out of my paint booth area in the back there and turn and then pull it forward. And so if I have the fenders on, I run the risk of hitting the door opening for the garage, the paint booth area. And I thought, you know what? I'm just going to move everything. And so that's what I did. I took the Fangled Fastback. It is now under my Mach 1. So it's out of the way. It gave me some space up here. And then I pushed the Crunchy Cobra Jet out of the paint booth, got my little wheel horse tractor out, hooked it to it, and pulled it up front here. I had to move my 68 truck, the one I converted to a 2006, truck, and so I moved it out of the way and got the Cobra Jet in here, and so now we're going to see what I can get done in this front section. There are some more parts on order. There's some stuff that I needed to have to put like the front valance together, some trim on the front, clips and hardware, that sort of thing. And so I've ordered that stuff and I'm waiting for it to show up. There's a whole bunch of stuff. And when I took this car apart initially, there was no interior in it. If you remember the videos, there's no interior. It did have a windshield in the back glass and the quarter windows were in it, but it did not have any wiring. There was no steering column. There was no dash pad. There was no nothing, no wiring, nothing on the inside. And of course the engine was not in it. None of that stuff was there either. So at this point, I'm kind of, in a way, trying to remember how I took it apart, and also the sequence of putting it together. Because I always say sequence is scored, and you need to make sure you're putting things together in a proper order. So it's working out, and things are coming together. But I wanted to get everything on the front of the car as well, because I wanted to test fit the hood for the last time, the fenders, make sure everything is lined up and looking good, so I can take the hood off by itself and the cowl and put them in the paint booth and spray them black, the top section. So I got to do all that as well. So there's still a fair amount to do, but the work that I am doing is getting less and less and less, and it's really looking fantastic. I'm so excited for how this car is turning out right now. So, as I said, it's the end of June. We have a holiday coming up, 4th of July, and of course, those of you that may be viewing from other parts of the world, the 4th of July we celebrate our independence, and I'm looking forward to a fun weekend. This is one of the times my wife and I, we have friends over at the lake in Alabama, and we were able to, take occasionally a 3 or 4 day weekend and get over there and just chill out. And that's what we plan to do this weekend, coming. Going to get over there and hang out with our friends and have a good time on the pontoon boat, have some beverages. And I know that they put on a good display of fireworks over there too. But it's a lot of people that are independent and doing it. It's not like a city-wide of city putting it on or something like that. Small town over in Alabama. Okay, so we're kind of caught up on what's going on. I hope you saw the last video that I did, and it's getting a good amount of views. I know that my channel is showing views, but as I've said before, the revenue just keeps declining. So I don't know. I'm just I don't understand it. Maybe I'm not supposed to understand it. Anyway, let's see who's here tonight. And the first one in is Dave Tyson. Good evening, all. Evening, Dave. Glad you're here. Steve Reed. Hello, Barry and everyone. Hope everyone's doing well. And the Cobra coming along very great. Don't forget to leave thumbs up for Barry. Thank you, Steve. Terry Keithley. Good evening, everyone and Barry. Please hit the thumbs up and like button. For Barry, thank you kindly, Terry and Betty and the cats. Thank you, Terry, Betty, and the cats. David, the bowler hat guy. Good evening, Barry. Hello, all. Hello, sir. Glad you're here. Black GTX, Mark. Welcome, sir. And Jerry. Haven't seen Jerry in a while. Jerry's Garage, the Money Pit. Looks like you changed your YouTube name. At least, I just noticed something. I don't know what that means. It's all of your things have @ like an @ symbol. Jerry's Garage Money Pit 2028. Good evening to all from Middle Tennessee. Welcome, Jerry. Yeah, I wonder what they changed there. Because that hasn't had the @ symbol before on it, but every one of these now has an @ symbol. That's interesting. I wonder why they're doing that. That's different. Something new. Who knows? Robert checking in, the Infernal Craftsman. Glad you're here, Robert. And there he is, Rick Stevenson. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, Rick. Coffee sip. Thanks to Rick. Yeah. Let's see who else is here. Troy Justit. Greetings from Coastal Georgia. I sent you an email about my rear torque boxes. I need some advice from you and the gang. Okay. So let me see if I can download what you've sent me. We'll see what pops up here. So here's a picture. Very narrow picture. So it's a rear torque box. Let me see if I can get this other one. Oops, I've got too many pictures going. Hold on a second. Let me try that again. So I'm not sure what your question is, Troy, but we could probably try to figure it out. Was this car wrecked? Looks kind of odd shaped there. So there's the pictures. We'll see what Troy has to add to that conversation here in a minute. Go back up here. Jerry says good evening to all. Thank you, Jerry. TJ Stang, DSG Mach 1. Hello, everyone from East Dublin, Georgia. Now, I'm wondering, is that like, I don't know what that is now with that @ symbol. But welcome, TJ. I wonder why they're doing that. Bob Shoemaker, evening all from Wet, Oklahoma. Yeah, we've had some pretty good rain here, and a lot of grass growing. Lots of grass growing. Troy says, "Oh, and tonight we are back to bourbon with Barry. Cheers." Well, we all have our drinks. Dawn's Manufacturing. Hello, you fine folks from sunny 90 plus degrees PDX. Ooh, hope you're doing well, Dawn. I know you've been getting treatments, and I hope they're helping. Wishing you the best. Dave Conville. Good evening, all. Evening, Dave. I'm really wondering why those are like that. That doesn't make sense why it has that extra at symbol. Mr. Mikey, greetings from south of San Antonio, where we are getting some tropical rain. Oh boy. Tropical rain in Texas does not sound good at all. Jiggy, good evening all. Boy, that Cobra jet looks good behind you. About to buzz in my lower cowl tonight. Thoughts and prayers welcome. You can do it. You can do it. Travis Holtman, good evening all. I won't be able to watch as I have to work. Okay. Sorry for that, Travis. As I tell my kids, though, whenever they would have a job, their jobs, and they were in high school and working, they would say, I have to go to work. And I said, no, you get to go to work. So we have to look at it a different way. We have to think of it in a positive attitude. You get to go to work and make money and spend it and do things that you want to do with your family and friends. David Wright, Right Guy Garage, evening all from hot and humid northern Indiana. Welcome, sir. Jerry is checking in. Howdy, Barry. Howdy, y'all from cruise altitude. Can't stay as I'm working, but have a good car chat. Well, thank you, Jerry. So she's probably up at 30,000 feet, checking in. That's cool. Dawn's Manufacturing, views up, revenue down. Easy to understand. They want all the money. Yeah, and that's why Patreon is my go-to. My supporters on Patreon. Hugh checking in. Hello, Barry. Hello, sir. David, that hood in the background looks really nice. Too bad it's going to be covered. Well, yeah. I mean, let me tell you, it's not perfect. There are a few flaws, and the black will make that go away. But yeah, I'm looking forward to getting that taken care of. Hugh, thanks for the hookup with Colin and Richard. Unfortunately, we all decided shipping would be too expensive for that far of a distance. Well, that's okay. I understand. Travis says the @ symbol is how we would tag whoever we want to chat with. It's a tagging symbol. It's more of an FYI for us all. Okay. Well, this is something new that I'm seeing on StreamYard, and I understand the ad idea, but that's the first I've seen that. So they must have made some sort of change to the format to put that on there. Just kind of different. Troy, I'm thinking of modifying the original torque box or torque to fit the convertible in a rocker. Can this be done, or do I need to replace them? I explained it in the email. Oh, okay, I'm sorry. I just looked through it quick. So he says, when I decided to put the convertible floor pan into my fastback, I didn't consider that the rear torque box would be different. I'm thinking of modifying the original ones by cutting them back and welding on new flanges. Will this work, or do I need to replace them for ones for convertible? I'm going to separate the two-piece inner rocker since I don't need that flat portion. The one in the car is in great shape. Okay. Robert actually did that same thing on his car. And I'm not sure exactly what he did. If he just made the space for it, I don't know. But I understand what you're asking now. I don't think you have to get, there shouldn't be any reason why you have to get the convertible rockers, torque boxes. Now I see what you're pointing at. I'd have to look at, in my case, I'd have to look at the configuration of the torque box on like the Fangled fastback, and I could probably give you more of a heads up after looking at that to see how it's actually put together. So, but I know Robert put in the ones in his car, and maybe he can give us some feedback on that as well. Dave, I don't ever recall the 4755 on the end of my tag. That number means nothing to me, and I'd hate to think there's 4,700 of me around. Yeah, I think that's what's really confusing, because normally it's just a name or your YouTube name, um, and I think like that numbering whatever is almost like an email type of thing, you know. But again, it's something new that I'm just not used to seeing, so it makes it hard sometimes to see like who this, like here it says Allie, and I know that's not Allie. I don't know who that is. I mean, I know it's one of my regulars, but I don't know who that is. Good evening, Barry. Good evening, all. The CJ's looking great. Working on a rear valance fitment on the 65. Okay, awesome. Hugh, I went to a show yesterday with a couple of friends. They have a 67 GTO and a 67 Cougar. They got top 25, and I went home empty-handed, which is fine. I was told the GRO and Cougars aren't seen as often. Yeah, or GTO, yeah, aren't seen as often. Yeah, that would be true. There's feels like there's a lot less of those than there are Mustangs. You know, I saw a video clip. If I'm not mistaken, the early Mustangs, if I'm not, tell me if I'm wrong. They made like 2 million of them or something. Am I wrong? So the early, 65, 64 and a half, 5 and 6, whatever. I haven't looked it up, but I saw something on a video that was saying like, yeah, they sold like 2 million of these things. So that's why you go somewhere and you see there's Mustangs still out there everywhere. Hugh, as Mustangs, oh yeah, I was told that GTO and Cougar aren't seen as often as Mustangs, and that makes sense to me. Yes. So Robert is talking and putting up information for Troy. Says I shortened the vert inner rockers and made flanges out of the ends that welded to the stock hard top torque boxes. So there you go. He just took the if I'm reading correctly, basically cut the torque boxes, shortened it, and if I'm thinking this right, made flanges off of those pieces that like cut it long. I say long. Let's say you need it 54 inches. I don't know. Cut it at 55 inches, and then slice the corners and bend the flanges back so you can weld them to the torque box. Is what I'm understanding. Art man, this thing. Now I got to learn everybody's names again. This is gonna be messing me up. Good evening. I'm a bit late from Minnesota. Welcome, sir. Glad you're here. Robert, I left the flat middle rocker panel on as it's thicker than the original in my case and only adds to the strength and less work. So you're talking about the backs of the center, like the middle rocker plate. So did you end up doubling up from outer rocker with your original inner and then the new inner with the boxed inner? Is that what I'm hearing? Like now you have a double plate in the center? That would add a lot of strength. Mark, the ad thing is strange. I haven't changed anything. Yeah, it's not you. Yeah, whenever you go on YouTube, they have I don't know how do I label it. It's based on, like, my user is actually at Joe Daddy's Garage or something, blah, blah, blah. And my other channel, at Joe Daddy's Workshop, it has something so similar to that and has some numbers after it. I don't know why they're doing that, though. I don't like that setup. It's weird. Betty Keithley, good evening. Not feeling well. Laying down with my kitty. Leave a thumbs up and a like for Barry, Betty, and Terry, and all the fur babies. Thank you, Betty. Sorry to hear you're not feeling well. Hopefully that passes quickly. David says Google says 2.9 million Generation 1 Mustangs were made. And that's kind of mind-boggling. It really is when you think about it. Million. Like, granted, these are popular cars, and like the Model T, I think they sold like 29 million of those things or something. But even at 2 million, that's a really big number when you consider the whole market. So you've got, that's just Mustangs. That's not Falcons. That's not Galaxies. That's not later on the LTDs and the Fairlanes and all those just in one brand, all those different cars, and then you break that out into Chevy with the Nova and the Bel Air and the Impala and all those variations of, and just the numbers are just crazy. I don't know how many cars were sold overall in that time period, but that's why you still find these cars sitting in a garage or a barn somewhere because they've just been forgotten about, in a sense. That's like I was saying the other day. I haven't heard yet any more on it, but a friend of mine, a friend of theirs bought a property, had an old barn on it, and it was full of junk, and they started pulling stuff out of it, and they found a 64.5 Mustang in there. And I'm like, I'm not surprised. People forget about it. They start, like anywhere, your garage or your closet, you're piling stuff up, and one day you start pulling stuff out, and you're like, oh, look, here's a baseball card collection from 1962 that I forgot about. Only it's cars. Thank you, David. Troy said, thanks, Robert, at OU 812. Okay, thanks. That is what I was planning to do. The middle panels are the same thickness, so I'm going to remove the ones on the inner rocker and weld it to the original. Okay. Robert, yeah, basically what I did, I do have the cutout, so I have a template for future cars, so I can do it the same way. Okay. Hugh says, I'm going to change my profile picture just to confuse you, Barry. Yeah, well, I think I do pretty good at remembering who people are based on just even partial names or whatever. But now they're messing with me. Robert says, yep, just doubled it up. No reason to take it out. There you go. Marcus, just going to say hi to see what my @ is. Yeah, thanks, Marcus. I don't know. I don't understand it. Rick Gaines, sorry I'm late. Annoying things to deal with. I'll watch the first 20 minutes later. Okay. I'm glad you're here, Rick. Robert, the fact that they made nearly $3 million in 2 years puts the OE fitment we complain about in a different light. The quality was actually really good considering they were flying out the door that fast. But yeah. I mean, I don't know how many they produce per day, but the reality is nearly 3 million cars of the first 64, 5 and 6. I mean, that's just mind-boggling, What, they have like three assembly plants, I think, Metuchen, San Jose, and I guess Detroit. I don't know. But yeah, be cranking those things out and just getting them on the train and get them out of here, get them in the showroom. Marcus, I thought it was 500,000 65s and 600,000 66. 1 million gift the first 2 years, still amazing. Yeah. It's just whatever the number. It's a lot. Dawn, at 2,500 per, that's 7.25 billion in 1966. Thank you, Dawn. Yeah. Think about how much money they're making today off of these vehicles of barely making 100,000 miles now. And you all know what I'm saying. They're making these. It's all of them. The Ford trucks, the Chevy trucks, the Dodge, everything new now has a high failure rate because they put all this stupid junk in the engine. Extra, double cams, rollers, plastic this and garbage that. Those things they're not even lasting. There's a big push on all that right now with all this stuff breaking. They've made these engines so high tech. Somebody commented that the engines in a modern truck, they're trying to build them to the tolerances of like a Porsche. The thing is, the Porsche isn't out there towing a trailer. It's not hauling dirt. It's not doing work. It's being driven, and these trucks are just, their new engines are failing left and right. And, you just can't beat some of this old technology that just keeps on ticking. But, they make a ton of money off of these modern vehicles. You see a so-called truck, selling for $80,000-$90,000. Why? We don't need something like that. These great big, giant front ends and lights all over them and all kinds of junk. Marine is checking in. I have to really crank the volume to hear you, then freak everyone out trying to turn volume down when the annoyingly frequent YouTube advertisement comes around. I don't know why that would be. I'm doing the same thing I always do. I've got the mic right here. It's cranked up. That's all I can do. But I apologize for the annoying ads. Robert, go into the options gear and turn off stable volume if you are having issues. Okay. Great idea. Let me show that again because I don't. Go into the options gear, the little gear at the bottom of the screen, usually over here, right? And turn off stable volume if you're having issues. Okay, there you go. So I don't know if this is a new viewer. I've not seen the name before because they changed the format. So, I don't know if it says Kristen, one tube. I don't know. Are you more comfortable or experienced repairing Mustangs? How many cars have you repaired in your life? Oh, that's a great question. That is a great question. That answer is probably unknown. Now, most everybody knows that I grew up, my dad had a junkyard growing up. So I've been around cars my entire life. I mean, from 8, 9, 10 years old, I've been working on cars. I'm currently 58. You can do the math. A good 48 years of working on cars, other than when I was, even when I was in the Army, I was fixing cars for people in my own platoon and company. I did a lot of that for everybody. But I could not say how many cars in scale that I have repaired or fixed. Now, as far as more comfortable or experienced repairing Mustangs, at this point, that's probably an easy answer to say yes to. But my experience is vast. Deep down inside, I'm probably more actually a Chevy guy. I grew up driving Chevys. Those were my vehicles. That's what I've always had a GM product of some sort. But my dad had a '69 Mustang that I fell in love with, and I've always had a desire to have a Mustang. And over time, I have also had like Plymouths and Dodges. And I've had all kinds of vehicles. I mean, all kinds of vehicles. I've owned, in my lifetime, I've owned over 300 different vehicles that I personally owned and driven. I know that for a fact. So right now, I'm very comfortable with the Mustangs and very familiar with them. But I also, on this channel, if you look around, you'll see that I've done Camaros. I've had a 55 Chevy that I did. I took I built my GMC truck out of a 2006 Chevy 2500 HD, and I put a 68 cab on it. So there's a lot of things that I've done, and I'm still good with almost any manufacturer, but I seem to have fallen into a groove of Mustangs. You know, I started. We had our body shop, and I worked on all kinds of stuff there. And when the body shop shut down, I took over working on cars at my own shop here. And the first thing I started working on was my 68 Mustang that I had. And then from there, I did a 65 and another 65 and a 66 convertible, and just kind of snowballed. So I'm pretty familiar with the Mustangs at this point. So that's I guess that's the answer. I see Dave Tyson has said not. Now I'm not sure what that relates to, but good question. Good question by, I don't know what that says. Chris, it looks like it's Chris Len. Chris Len 1 Tube. I don't know. That's a good question. Thank you for that. Troy, you're now bad mouthing my Ford truck, though it's true. I now have to have to, I guess, go to my safe space and suck my thumb. Yep, you do. I don't care. No. Yeah, there's a lot of poor designs out there. David, give me a truck I can change the points on. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, I agree. Richard Vogel. Good evening, Barry. I'm late, but glad to be here. Glad to hear, Richard. Marine truck should be 30,000 max. I agree 100%. For that money, you should be able to get a 2500 HD. I don't care if it's got power windows. I don't care. I don't need any of that junk. Don't give me any of the extra junk. Just give me a truck that I can drive and tow stuff with safely. Not worry about the engine failing at 60, 70, 80,000 miles. Where you got to go in and put a new timing chain in, new rollers and all the junk, blah, 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 blah. Artman, they're chasing fractions of miles per gallon and trying to maintain or increase power. And if they were built to last, they couldn't sell you a new one as soon. That is 100% true, but it doesn't make it right. I just, yeah. Of course, no, I don't buy new vehicles. I haven't. My newest vehicle we have is my wife's van, 2013, 192,000 miles on it. We're gonna keep driving that till it doesn't move anymore, and then I'll probably buy one that's just a couple years newer than that. I don't need a new vehicle. I mean, there's an appeal to it. I get it. It feels good to sit and smell that new car and go, oh, this is so cool. Look at all these buttons and all this stuff you got to push. I don't need any of that. I don't want any of that. I drive a little 2007 Honda Fit as my daily driver. Air conditioning works. It stops. It goes. That's all I care about. I don't care about the paint coming off. I don't care about the interior looking nasty. I don't care. just get me from one point to another. That's all I care about. So I don't. And my truck is a 2009, and I really like that truck because it's a 2500 HD GMC, 6-liter, no active fuel management junk on it. It doesn't have that thing where it shuts off a cylinder or two, whatever. It doesn't have any of that junk. So I'll probably keep that truck running and going as long as I possibly can, because all these new ones are just crazy. Dave Tyson, you have to remove the cab to repair the engine. Yes. Yeah. Genius. Yeah. I've worked on them. I've had to do stuff like that. Dawn says stable volume off by default here. Oh, okay. Talking about the volume control. Mr. Mikey, ad symbol used to focus on specific individuals within the group. What Google AI said. Okay. Yeah, I don't know why StreamYard has done that. And I don't know if there's a way to change it. I'm not going to mess with it right now. I don't know if I can fix it. get rid of it, I don't know. I'm not gonna dig into it until I look at it later on. But thank you, Mr. Mikey. Jerry says big trucks are cool. Yeah, big trucks are cool. Yeah, but not when they break. Not when they I've got a friend who's got a pretty new, what is it? I don't know if it's a GMC or Chevy. I don't remember now. It's pretty new. It's been in the shop probably 8 times since they've had it, and it's almost a brand new vehicle. So they're cool. Yeah, they're big trucks, but I want something that's not going to just break down on me. Don Marine, I've been traveling overseas, so missed when your garage wall. Wait a minute. I've been traveling overseas, so missed when your garage wall AC moved. Where is it? It's 100 degrees or so in DC. Oh, no, the AC's on this wall, not on that wall. It's always been on this side. It's up there. But it was never on that side. But it really does a good job. It really does a good job. Mini splits are the way to go. Don says 300 vehicles. I maybe owned 10. Yeah. I've owned several vehicles twice or 3 times. I don't know. It's a sickness growing up in a junkyard and driving a different vehicle maybe every week, maybe every month. And that's just driving. That wasn't owning. Those were my dad's vehicles. It never made me say, oh, I need to keep this one, right? Because a lot of times I didn't have the option. I might drive a car for 6 months until the inspection sticker runs out, and my dad knew it wouldn't pass, and it would just be junked. And then he'd get another junker and say, here you go, drive this one for a while. So I never got attached to those, any of those cars. So it was pretty easy for me to go, I'm driving this car. Oh, it's been 3 months. I don't like it anymore. And then get rid of it and get another one. It's just what I grew up with. One-eyed cat. If you type then the name JJ's Garage, you can get that person's attention in the chat. Okay. Thank you for that. Rick says premium is a good investment for me. I don't know how much of my $18 a month you get, but I hope it's some. Yeah, I can tell you it keeps declining. The whatever money that I'm getting off of YouTube just keeps going down. But I do appreciate you, Rick. I know you're here on this, and you're also one of my patrons, so I do appreciate you. See now the name thing again, Amir Rizvi. Hi Barry from hot and humid Islamabad. Welcome Amir, glad you're here. Hot and humid is never fun. Robert, trucks are princess caddies for cowboys. They are not work vehicles anymore. Yeah, pretty much. I mean, they're just big, fancy chrome lights and just a lot of junk. Rick says, you can be a Chevy guy. Just drop that LS you have sitting around in your Mach 1. You'll get views for sure. Yeah, I could. That would turn some heads. Junk removal, Orange County. I do construction. Never ever would buy a new truck. Just get a good used and use them for what they're intended. Exactly. Yeah. Rick says, update on the transmission in your son's van. I still cannot get it to my guy. So we're trying to pursue other means right now, trying to find if there's another shop that I can get to. My guy's always busy. He's always busy. And so, I don't know. Mark says the 6.2 in my brother-in-law's GMC blew up at 12,000 miles. Yeah. 12,000 miles. Yeah. Well, the 2009 that I have with the 6 liter, that truck has 245 or 48,000 miles on it. And it still drives fantastic. I mean, it could use some shocks on the front, but otherwise, it does everything that I want it to do. And it's got air conditioning. It's got a aftermarket radio with Bluetooth, so I can play my songs in my phone with it. Good lights, good brakes. Like I said, I'll keep that truck running as long as I can. Art, I had an Escalade with 6.2, no active fuel management, lost oil PSI in the cam bearings, and VVT would act up and stall the truck when hot, would start and run fine again after letting cool off or changing the oil. Yeah. Isn't that great? That's just, they're killing us. You know, we don't need any of that, all that extra junk in there. Whoops. Let me go back here. He said, Art says the tech is impressive, 400 horsepower daily, but not durable. Yeah. And that's what they were saying. Like, the tolerances they're building these engines to are like a Porsche. They're like building race engines and trying to squeeze every little bit out of them that they possibly can and not even thinking about durability. Who cares? It's making 400 horsepower. Yay. I don't need it to break down in a year or so. I'm Christian. Okay. I followed your channel for years. I've learned a lot, but never have the time to put it into practice anything. I think I need to make time at maybe an internship at your shop. Yeah. I've had a lot of people want to do that. Junk removal. Ideal truck is stock pre-76 years of almost any brand. 350 range engine, AC power steering, and no digital junk to brake. Back then, they made quality, and after the small gas crunch, makers made junk. You're right. Yeah, any of that old stuff. Good frames, good. It all worked. It did what it was needed to do. Jerry, when you tow 26,000 pounds, then you need a bigger truck. Oh, yeah, I agree. The problem I have is I don't like them putting in technology that leads to quick failure. There's so many of these trucks now. It's all over the news. All these recalls and all this stuff is happening. I've seen videos where there's been a lot full of Chevys and GMCs and some Fords, and they're like, yeah, every one of these needs this, whatever. They don't hold up, you know. Yes, so I agree. You need a big truck. The big truck is fine as long as it's durable. I don't want something that's gonna break down on. You know, you're towing a big trailer coming down the interstate, and all of a sudden the bottom end blows out of the truck. Nobody wants that. Give me something that'll last and tough. Mr. Mikey, 93 F350 crew cab, 7.3 IDI, still cruising, 254,000 miles. There you go. Yep. Amir, most guys are same. Good AC and radio is all you need in a daily. Yep. Yeah, I mean, even at the point of, I mean, I've had so many vehicles that didn't have AC, and a lot of times I won't even turn the AC on in my own little Honda. I'll just put the windows down. That's fine with me. Just get some air movement, you know. There are days where I will. Yes, it's too hot, too humid. But, you know, we survived an era of time where half the vehicles on the road didn't have any air conditioning. David, I can see running 500 horsepower if it's a race car. Yeah. Yeah. Give me good torque. Give me, you know, a tough truck that'll hold up to abuse, a transmission that won't fall apart. It's just there's something to be said for even a big block. Old big block engines were tough. And I think probably one of the toughest engines that I could think of was the old. Well, it was in my GMC, the old '68. It had a 305 V6. That thing had so much torque you could pull the Titanic off the bottom of the ocean with it. But it didn't get probably good gas mileage. It wasn't a high revving engine, but it could pull anything, and that was really nice of it. That sort of thing. Artman, everyone's 10 speeds are junk. I'm curious about the GM engines if you run 5W30 instead of 0W20. That's been a big push right now, is the fact that all these new engines are calling for 0W20. And they're doing that because of these super, super tight tolerances. There's no give. And then what I'm starting to do now with vehicles that I have that have 150,000 miles on, I will switch up from 0W20 to maybe a 520, something like that, and just try to help it a little bit along the way. But the tolerances they made are so tight they really want you to use that 0, But that's just, I don't know. They don't need to be that tight of a tolerance. Marcus had to finally replace a 2006 F250 6.0 with 223,000 miles. Got a 2023 F150 with 5.0. 8 connecting rods are better than 6 or 4. Okay. I get it. Marine, sorry, I thought the AC used to be on the other wall, but I recall how good it has been to work on Jade, etc. The door padding is still on too. Traveling too much lately with no internet. Okay. Yeah, it's always been on this side over here. Robert, the 305 had huge pistons. GMC had a lot of odd engines back then. Yes, they did. Yes, they did. Terry Keithley, 93 F250, 7.5 gas, extended cab, 8-foot long bed, 108,000 miles, still running strong. That's pretty low mileage for a 93, Terry. That's cool. That's a work truck right there. Jerry, I have 80,000 miles and not problems. That's great. That's great. I know that, and there are differences too in some of the big trucks and some of the like half-ton models. There are variations within those that some of the smaller trucks with these better engines aren't lasting. So I'm glad. I mean, there's a lot of people that are having problems with their trucks. There's a lot of them out there that are having problems. So I'm hoping yours doesn't give you any problems. I don't want to see, or hear that you have an issue. I really don't. But by all means, take care of it. Keep oil changed, all that stuff, and keep it on the road. Amir, what is your opinion on new cars and trucks? Trucks are made for higher maintenance routine for manufacturers to make extra money. Otherwise, they blow up. Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with the whole concept of it. These engineers come up with all these crazy ideas of trying to, and we have to put it in some perspective. So, like the government says, your average fuel economy for your entire fleet has to be at 28 miles per gallon, right? Well, everybody knows the highest selling vehicles in the U.S. are the Ford F-150, the Chevy Silverado, and the Dodge trucks. I just had somebody just pointed out an article the other day. Ford, Chevy, Dodge. I forget what the fourth one was, and then the fifth one was actually a Tesla Model E was number 5. So, whenever the government says your entire fleet has to average, let's just throw a number, say 28 miles per gallon, right? And you've got trucks that are making, They got plenty of power. They got all kinds of gizmos on them, and they're trying to get as much fuel economy out of them to meet that government standard, because that's what the rule says. Now, they make let's say just whatever manufacturer makes the Chevy makes a Sonic or whatever it is, and that car gets 52 miles to the gallon. I'm just guessing here. You'd have to sell as many of those as you do trucks to get that average to work out. So the manufacturers have to do everything in their power to try to make those trucks as fuel efficient as possible. And so the tolerances get tighter and tighter and tighter. But the failure rate keeps going up because they're not, if you're just running around like a daily driver, okay, great. But if you're actually out making these things work, then you're still not going to get good gas mileage, but you're also running the risk of things failing. And then as you talk about maintenance, they'll be saying, hey, you need to come in and, we'll do these oil changes, and at X number of miles, we need to replace the timing sets because these little plastic guides and rollers will fail, and then you're dead in the water. They had a big problem with that with the 5.4 Ford. They had the double roller, great big timing chain in there with all these guides and all this stuff, and one of those pieces would break and it would jump time, and suddenly you're dead in the water. So I understand why they're making them more tight or efficient, but it doesn't seem to pay off in the end, because people are paying more money for these things, and then they're still having a high failure rate. So, and of course they want you to come in and get the Ford value package or whatever, all those things that they want you to encourage you to come in and have it taken care of. Artman, they are also saying 10,000 miles on an oil change is fine, plus consuming 1 quart for 1,000 miles is fine. The math don't math. Yeah. I mean, old cars, right? 3,000 miles, change the oil. And I'm actually hearing that from a lot of techs, like the real service techs on these vehicles. They're saying don't go to 10,000 miles. Go to 3,000 or 4,000 miles, even with the synthetic oil, which isn't the best out there either. Conventional oil is still better than synthetic, in my opinion. But they, they're wanting you to extend that time frame of say you can run it 10,000 miles. I've even seen some that were like 15,000 miles. No, I don't want to do that. I'm going to change stuff out. I'm going to change the filter. I'm going to put in, change the oil. And then consumption, that's not good. Robert, my friend has an 05 3/4 ton crew cab HD long bed with just over 100,000 in excellent shape. He knows it's my truck when he wants to sell or stop driving. Sadly, only 2-wheel drive, as 4-wheel drive was rare here. That's okay. 2-wheel drive will do you just fine. But yeah, an 05, that's a good year to have. That is a good year to have. That's 3/4 ton. Yeah. Don Marie says, Art, I saw a feed today recommending 10W30 for a Mustang 289. I've always used 10W40 for over 30 years for my 65 Fastback. Yep. Dawn says, where are all the thumbs up? Give Barry some love. Yes. Richard, when are you planning to put on Slither's side stripes? Soon. Today I put the fenders on, and I've been tweaking the hood, trying to get the hinges in the right spot and all that stuff, because the hood has to come back off. So I want to get the hinges and everything dead on where it needs to be, so that I can take the hood off and spray the black. And then the stripes, I'm in no rush to do the stripes, but I wanted to make sure everything was ready to go, because once I put the fenders on, I don't want to take them off again. I mean, they're fine, they look good, they're in the right spot, but I don't want to. I'm just trying to be cautious in my process. So soon, they'll be coming on soon. Terry Keithley, I have a Mint 93 F-150 Lariat, 8-foot bed, loaded, 54,000 miles. Bought it new May of 93. Wow. That's impressive. That's impressive. 54,000 miles. Yeah, that's nice. Dave Tyson, I run 10W30 synthetic in my trucks. Okay. I mean, don't get me wrong. I put synthetic in. Like, I do oil changes for friends of mine. And if their vehicle calls for synthetic, I put synthetic in it. I just, it's what I do. Dawn says, bet she runs on 1040. Yep. Good call. Artman, 5.4 Fords collect junk in the passenger side rear cam cap, starving the entire passenger side valve train, chain tensioner, and cam phaser of oil. Many can be saved if you take that cam cap off and clean. Okay. Good information. Thank you for that. Richard Byrne, I changed my oil on my 2011 F-150 every 3,000 miles. Has 274,000 miles on it. Nothing has been touched on the drivetrain. Now, that's fantastic. 274,000 is fantastic. Let me tell you something I did recently. My wife has her Honda Odyssey. 2013 has that CVT transmission. 192,000 miles, whatever. We've had this thing for, I don't know, 5, 6, 7, 8 years. I don't even remember. But it, when you drive it, you would feel like a little bit of a surge in the transmission. And I thought, oh, this is just the way it is. It's a CVT, blah, blah, blah. And you'd feel the surge. Well, when my son's van died, I decided to look into it a little bit more. And apparently, you're supposed to change there's a filter, an inline filter, underneath the battery on these Honda Odysseys. And it looks just like an old lawnmower fuel filter, only big. I mean, it's like that big around, has a post coming in on each end. And it said change that filter out, and change, when you do that, drain off. There's a drain plug on the bottom of the transmission. Basically drain out right at 4 quarts of transmission fluid. And then change that filter. And I thought, I've never done that. Let me try it. So I got under there and I drained 4 quarts out of the transmission. It took me a while to get that filter out because you have to take the battery out, the air box. It's a tough filter to get out. Swap that thing over, topped it back off with the proper amount of fluid, and lo and behold, it drives nice. It doesn't do the surging anymore. It's just got a nice smooth flow to it. So I'm thinking, the recommendation said 30,000 miles to change this out. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to change it to 30,000 miles, but I can see now how much of a difference it made. So sometimes it is worth it to do some extra stuff. Thank you, Richard. Saab Tech. When GM made Saab do the free oil changes, they went to a 10,000 interval, and the engine's all gummed up. They later went to Mobil 1 to stop the carnage. Yep. 10,000 miles is too far. Car Guy Troy, late to the party, been a while. How's it going? It's going pretty well. Glad you're here. Glad you showed up. Shannon, Cobra Jet is looking fine. Thank you, sir. I agree. I'm pretty excited about it. Damarine, use less oil for a car so your engine needs more repairs. Sounds like a Let's Go Brandon issue. Where is that mug? Well, I have this fancy oil filter mug. So there we go. Oil filters. Make sure you get a good one. Yeah. Mark says, my work truck F-150 with a 3.5 EcoBoost gets an oil change every 10,000 miles. Even with Mobil 1 synthetic, it seems excessive to me. Yeah, 10,000, it just feels not good. Marcus, interestingly, watching via YouTube app on TV, no commercials, and don't have premium, commenting through phone app. Okay, that's cool. Richard, I still wish I had my 96 Chevy Tahoe, the 2014 Tahoe that replaced it. It was junk with all kinds of defects. Yeah. Yeah. I think probably the best SUV that we had was a 99 Suburban Silverado, 4-wheel drive. That at the time, it was low. I mean, it was loaded, LT, leather, everything. And at the time, our oldest son was starting to learn to drive, and I thought, I can't keep this Suburban anymore. So I ended up selling it. And I paid a good bit of money for that Suburban because it was nearly new when I bought it. And ended up buying him. He had a Toyota Camry that he drove for 250 some thousand miles. But yeah, the 99 Suburban, like 96, really, really decent vehicles. Rick says, you said Slither will be leaving by the end of May, so you've got 11 months to go. That was the plan. That was the plan, but it just didn't happen. Robert, the CVTs and Nissans are so bad that you should do a fluid change every other oil change if you want it to last more than 40 to 60,000. Yeah, I wouldn't buy a Nissan vehicle. I know my experience with the body shop and working on Nissans, that was one of my least favorite foreign cars to work on, other than anything German. Just German cars won't come through this door. No, not going to work on those. But I did not like the Nissans. I didn't like the way they built things. So I'm with you on that. Richard's laughing at Rick's comment. Dave Conville, I have a 2013 Avalanche with a 5.3. It has a pretty easy life, usually road trips and very rare light towing. I'm considering disabling the AFM as I keep hearing horror stories. Any thoughts? Yes, disable it. You're talking about that active fuel control thingy? Yeah. Get rid of it. Get rid of it. Car Guy Troy. Most newer cars run a synthetic blend. Older engines need more zinc in the oil for flat tapping cams, they say. Yeah. Yeah. I usually just run conventional on anything old. Just conventional oil. Robert, a good method is to electrically disable the AFM. The proper fix is a mechanical fix, as the hardware can still be a problem unless it was electrically disabled at very low miles. So there's some information on that with that active fuel management. See, I don't know who is this. Denny? I don't know if it says Allie. I don't know if it's Denny or not. Did everyone see the Generally Jump the Fountain in Somerset, Kentucky? Cool video. I did see that. It was a cool video, and we all know that's just a bunch of auto metal direct parts normally strapped to a Crown Vic. But that's okay. It looks cool. It was fantastic seeing it go through that fountain. But yeah, I saw it. Del Marine, do you still have Joe Daddy hats for sale? Yes, I do. Yeah, send me an email. Send me an email if you're interested. Bottom of the page there, Joe Daddy's Garage at gmail.com. And I'll hook you up. Amir, German cars are over-engineered. U.S. is heading in that direction. Yeah, see, that's the same thing. I don't understand the German stuff because we worked on them at the body shop, and it was always like, why? Well, like a Mercedes bumper cover, it had like 80 components to hold that all together. Like when you put in all these little pins and you slide this in this and holds this light, put in all these little pins and do this and do that and whatever. Compared to like a Honda where you take, pull pull out these 10 clips, pull out these screws on the end, a couple push pins, whatever, pop, the whole thing comes off and you're done. But no, Mercedes has to have everything. Like, do we have any number 7 screws with this? Yeah, well, let's put some of those in there. Do we have any of these push pins with this? Yeah, put some of those in there too. We need to use them up. But they are definitely over-engineered. Rick says, in honor of my dad, I want a two-wheel drive, dark green extended cab, '04 Chevy S10 with the 4.3 Vortec, rust-free. Well, you had me. I knew I could help you there until you said rust-free. It's going to be hard to find that. I had a, what year was it? 99? One of my favorite trucks I had was a 99 S10. It was a short bed. I think it was a 4-cylinder though. I think 5-speed. That thing was sharp. It was all black. Had cool wheels on it, bed cover lowered, and it was like that when I bought it. And it had this really nice interior in it. That truck was a ball to drive. I mean, it was just a lot of fun. Cornered, fantastic, got good gas mileage. It was a really great little truck. Richard says, to Hugh, thanks again for your help. The search for local fenders will continue. Okay. Terry Keithley, trade you a set of 65, 66 door hinges for a hat. Yeah. I don't know when I will be working on another 65 or 6. So I won't take you up on that. Artman, VW had coolant pass through a motor mount. Yeah. Why? You don't need any of that. You know, like the old, I say old, the rebirth of the Volkswagen Bug or Beetle, right? In the mid 2000s. I'm trying to remember. You had to pull the, like, if you wanted to take the fender off, you had to pull the dash out of the thing. Like, the bolts were hidden behind the dash. So you had to pull the dash out to get to the fender bolts. Who does such things? Why? You don't need any of that. Robert says, VWs, in my opinion, are very cheaply built cars. Some really great parts for easy assembly, but the reliability of the parts is very poor. Overall, feels cheap to drive and work on. I'm not impressed. Yeah. Amir says, BMW starter motor inside transmission tunnel. Yeah. Why? You know, that's just like one of the things that really gets me is I do, like I said, oil changes for friends of mine. And you have to wonder, like they put this engine, they design everything. Here's the drain plug. What can we do to make this more difficult? I know. Put a cross member exactly in line with where the oil comes out. So when it hits the cross member, it splashes everywhere. Let's do that. Why? You don't need to have any of that stuff. I mean, that's why whenever engineers are designing a car, they need to have mechanics right there with them. And they're looking it over and saying, okay, we think we want to put the starter under the intake manifold or in the transmission tunnel or whatever. We want to put it in a very difficult place. And the mechanic sits there and smacks him in the head and says, no. Put that where you can get it and change it if you need to work on it. Just like the drain plugs for the oil pan. Hey, let's put something in the way. No. Fix that. Put the drain angle this way. You know, just put it on the side. Instead of having it straight out the back where it's going to hit the cross member, put it on the side of the pan. It's not that hard. Think about it. Ali worked at a German auto dealership several years ago, and a $130,000 car would use a quart of oil every 2,000 miles. Solution by the factory rep was to overfill it by a quart. Really? Nice. Perfect. That's exactly how you fix that. Car guy Troy just bought a 48 Willys Jeep. Simplest thing I've ever worked on. Kind of cool so far. That is pretty cool. That is pretty cool. Yeah, it's probably as simple as the Model A that I have. You know, probably as simple as the Model A is about as simple as you can get. But that Willys, yeah. It reminds me. We had an old International Scout at the junkyard. It was a 4-cylinder. So this is sort of I've talked about this before, but I'll make it a junkyard story. So we had this International Scout. It was like a 62 or something. It was one of those. It had a 4-cylinder cast iron engine, and it had like 27 levers on top of the transfer case. I mean, there was like all these levers for 4-wheel drive low, 4-wheel drive high, 2-wheel drive low, 1-wheel drive. I mean, it was just like all these. So the Scout, we used it as a yard buggy for a while, and it just kept falling apart. Like, there was no roof on it. The quarter panels rusted off. We ended up just taking some like plywood and attaching it to where the floor pan used to be. So it had like the front floor pan, the firewall, and no doors. No, I think maybe it had fenders on it still. But this Scout 4-cylinder engine, we could run that thing for, I don't know, an hour, maybe an hour, because it had a crack in the block. And so it would run, and it would get hot, and it would lock up. Boom, you're done. Okay, just leave it. So you leave, and you come back either that evening or you come back the next day, hit the starter, boom, thing would fire right up, and you could drive it. You know, if you drove it for like 20 minutes, let it cool off for a while, drive it another 10 or 15 minutes, it was fine. But if you got it hot, because it wouldn't hold any water, you could dump water in the radiator, and it would just run out the block. So, but it was so simple as far as function, like a 4-cylinder cast iron engine, a little 1-barrel carburetor sticking up out of the side. You couldn't ask for anything simpler. And we would comment, they used to have a commercial out that said, International Scout, anything less is just a car. And we would say, International Scout, anything less is just a frame. But yeah, that was a memorable vehicle. So in 48 Willys, that's pretty cool. Rick says, Barry, if I find my S10, I'll send it down to you for a rust removal and a nice shade of green paint. Green was a special color in my family. Okay. I can't say that I'll have time to work on it, but hopefully you find one. Dave Tyson, engineers need to work in a shop for 2 years. Yes, they do. In all parts of the shop. David, I want to meet the engineer that decided to put the starter under the intake. Yeah. Brilliant. Richard, Barry, did you have the famous GM failing clear coat on your truck? I had it on the hood and roof. I was ticked about that. Yeah. It was on a few of my trucks that I've had over the years, had that problem. Yes. It wasn't an S10 I had. It was a GMC Sonoma. That thing was gorgeous. Paint was fantastic. Didn't have any issues with that. But yes, I definitely had a clear coat issue that a lot of those trucks had problems with. Robert says, VW dealer wants $2,500 to change a water pump in daughter's Tiguan. An independent shop wanted $3,500. I flew out and did it for lunch and dinner and flew home the next day, but never again. Yeah. That doesn't sound fun. Terry Keithley, building the 47 pickup, no power steering, no AC, no power windows, 78 302 2-barrel FMX trans 9-inch rear. There you go. That'll be a fun cruiser. Amir, there is this great power tools mechanic, Dean Doherty. Whenever he repairs a new tool, he's exactly like you and drain plug because they didn't take input of mechanic. Yeah. there's no reason for some of the stuff that they do. Michael says, evening all, late to the party, just got back from the beach and a car show. Well, it's better than, that sounds really appealing. Car guy Troy, the Jeep is like a tractor. That's what it reminds me of. Not much there. Yeah. It's like the Model A. There's not much there. Mr. Mikey, do you know the radius arm adjusted length in inches from lower control arm to front mount? Asking for another old goat. 67 coupe. I do not. I cannot tell you what that measurement is. I don't know. Hugh says, Barry, when driving to the show yesterday, I felt a slight constant pulse while holding a steady speed, but not there when coasting or speeding up. I'm thinking dirty jet in a car. Your opinion? That seems reasonable, but those are the kind of things it's really hard to judge unless you're riding along. But that is a possibility. You might want to. I doubt it's a fuel filter, but you might want to check your filter as well. Just saying. Okay. I think I'm at a point where I'm going to end up calling it a night. Hour and 17 minutes. That's pretty good. We currently have 52 watching. I did post a link to this on Facebook. I don't know if anybody saw it or if it worked or not. So I don't know if anybody is here from Facebook directly. But I saw where a friend of mine, RC Guy Garage, he did a live stream, and he posted a link to it on Facebook. So I thought I'd give it a shot and see if it would work, but I don't know. Let me know if you have or haven't use that link. So anyway, Richard Vogel says, I enjoyed talking about the late model lemons tonight. Yeah, there's plenty of them out there. And Cargo Troy, I really need to get back to work on Mustangs, but keep accumulating projects. I need to quit doing that. I understand. But the projects I accumulate are other people's projects. Okay. That's pretty good. We've been at it almost an hour and 20 minutes. I'm going to call it a night. I got to get in the house, get something to eat. It's been fun. It's been good. I'm looking forward to getting another video out. I am working on finishing up the driver's side stainless. I had to get some more foam, so that'll be taken care of very soon. Once I'm satisfied with the fenders and door or the alloy alignment, I can get the stripes on the rest of it, and then I can start going towards getting the front end together, the headlight buckets, the front valance, the grille, all those sort of things. So things are looking really good, and I'm very happy with it at this point. So once again, thanks for watching. I don't know for sure if I'll be back next Monday or not. I'm not sure yet. I know we're planning on going to the lake, so if we get back in time, I will definitely do a live stream. But if not, then I'll see you in 2 weeks. But hopefully I can be back for next week. So that'll be it for tonight. And until next time, take care of yourselves. See ya.